Hello and welcome back to Real Estate School. I'm your host, Michael Montgomery, and today we're joined by Scott Sillari, who is the CEO of RealSync. Now, if you haven't heard of RealSync, you probably will in the near future. There is a lot of automation-related tools that Scott is working on. But it's not just automation in many ways. We are going to talk a lot about automation today, but also just capturing customer data and business intelligence, which is something that is becoming increasingly important, I find, in the real estate space. Oftentimes, we're kind of just going about our day-to-day without thinking about where are our leads coming from and optimizing for that. So really excited to chat with you, Scott, about all of this today.
Yeah, Michael, I'm so excited to be here and just to, hopefully share some knowledge to your listeners and they can grab some value and maybe execute on some things in their business to get them moving forward,
I like how you said execute on them instead of just kind of starting to understand the theory behind automation. And, when it comes to automation, I think a lot of agents, they either think to themselves, this is just too complex and I'm too concerned about how I'm going to go about setting up automation. But then there's the other side of them that says, especially as they start to scale, they're like, oh, wouldn't it be great to automate certain workflows within my business? So we're going to dive into all of this. And I think maybe a really good place for us to start is starting to think through different stages that a real estate agent may go through, and then how we can start to work through some automations for that. So what we're going to look at here, we can start with, say, a newer agent, then we'll move into a medium producing agent, and then we're going to move into somebody who's potentially thinking of forming a team and structuring that. So maybe let's start with that then. So if you're talking to an agent and they say, look, I like tech, I'm totally bought in on the whole process of automation, but where should I start, Scott? I don't have any automation set up whatsoever. Where should I start?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So I always answer this with, it starts with having a CRM, because as a basic single agent, a lot of times, maybe they're working out of their Google contacts or off of a spreadsheet or just off of their phone, which is fine, right? It's just you. I get it. However, no matter what, things are going to fall through the cracks. And having a CRM, whatever that is, to where you can set up a follow-up task, where you get a notification to call this person because you haven't talked to them in 4 months, and that was the time frame they gave you, I'm buying a home. If you're so wrapped up in your life, family, whatever the case may be, maybe you don't, but you have a lot going on, you're trying to generate new leads. That's so important to have that. And then the notes on what that last conversation was about. Look, if you're using your phone and you're not using a CRM, you don't have that, right? There's no marker of where you left off. The CRM allows you to do that. So I'd say it starts there, and there's some basic automation, like I just said, tasks and follow-ups and tags and things that the CRM just offers, right? That's the first place. And then I'd say the next thing is how do you sync your phone or Google or Microsoft or whatever, your contacts into that CRM? That way, when you're adding people to your phone, it's going into CRM, you're building your database that way, right? And you're continuing to grow it. That's really the first couple of steps, I would say, to take as an independent agent. And then if you start generating leads, like online leads or anything like that, the next thing to do is make sure those are automated into the CRM too, right? And then the basic thing is all these CRMs have these out of the box, new buyer automation campaigns that you can just trigger. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I know that a lot of times we get in our own head about it's not custom enough. It doesn't represent me perfectly. The reality is there's people that have more experience and that are smarter than us that have put those together. So yeah, I recommend just those couple of those basic automations, and that's a great place to start. Those Amazing. 3 things. Yeah.
Perfect. So CRM, and then we're starting to bring our leads in, and then custom automations within our given CRM. So yeah. A lot of different questions that I have that are bubbling up right now. One general kind of blocker that I see with agents when it comes to starting to use their CRM is who do I put in this CRM? And if I'm syncing all of my Google contacts, all of my iPhone contacts in there, isn't there going to be data overload and I'm not going to be able to structure that? Do you have any tips on who should really be going into that CRM? Should everybody be going into the CRM and then you should be segmenting? What are your thoughts around that?
So I wish I had a black and white answer. But yeah. the answer is it depends on you as a person and the type of person you are. So I've worked with, team owners and agents that are very, very like 99 Ds, right, on the disc assessment. And they're like, I don't care. I want every single person in from my phone. You know, I don't care if I had a bad relationship with them in the past. They're still a potential buyer or seller. That's like my thought, right? And then there's everything in between, all the way to like, I want to select the people I want to put in, right? So I think it really depends on you, of course, right? My train of thought is, look, like, you know, think about the person you are today compared to the person you were 10 years ago. You're a different person, right? And so is the person that maybe you thought you had this type of relationship with 10 years ago. They're a different person too. They could need your help and services. I wouldn't be so particular about putting people in. However, I would want to have the data clean. And what I mean by that is, we don't want just a phone number in there and you don't know who it's attached to, because certain CRMs can allow you to create a contact based off of a phone number. You do want to have first name, last name, email, a phone number, right? And so having a little bit requirement around your data to keep it clean and accurate is a good place to start. So with certain Google Contacts integrations, let's say, I mean, we have one, right, on our platform. We require an email address, first name and a last name. Otherwise, it doesn't send in, right? Or you can decide, like, you know what, I'm going to tag this and push it in, right? So, or Google calls them labels.
Labels.
Same type of thing, right? Where you know what, you decide, you can select the ones that you want to put in. And then when you get into some of these CRMs, you can categorize. They have smart lists, right? Or ponds. They have different things where you can, you know, break down different lists based on, this is my SOI. You know, these are, you know, friends and family, or these are community relationships, or there's so many different ways you can slice it depending on how you want to group the people. And really, when I think about grouping lists, if it's not like just a new lead or a cold lead, it's about the content I want to send them, right? So I categorize lists when I'm doing my sales approaches for real estate agents. It's like, what groups are they in? What events do they attend? You know, all the way up to like, how big is their business? How small is their business? How much business are they doing? You know, what systems are they using? There's so many different ways you can categorize and make different lists. It could be about events coming up, all sorts of things, to where then your content is much more targeted. So when we talk about marketing, it's always media, message, market, right? So your market and your message needs to really hit at the right time, to the, you know, with the right language. And the more you can get segmented and specific on the list that you're building, the better you can do. And obviously you can set up automation campaigns in these CRMs, but really the content. And so when I think about building lists or getting contacts, I know this is a long-winded answer, I think of it like that. When you're building a list in your CRM, is what's my message? Why am I putting these people in this list? What's my intent with, you know?
Yeah, the intent. I like that. I like that frame of reference.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, there's a ton of different CRMs out there, and I know it's again not a black and white question around which CRM should you use. Agents can do a ton of research on that, but you know, I mean, the original way that I was introduced to you, Scott, and through RealSync was the fact that, and this is probably moving us into the direction of somebody who's scaling and wanting to get more automation built into their business. Once I got very comfortable with my CRM, I started to see some lack in the ability of my CRM to connect to other tools. Specifically, I was using Follow Boss, really enjoy Follow Boss, but I was having a lot of trouble, I guess, in like tracking emails through Follow Up Boss and also through Gmail, which I used, which then introduced me to RealSync, and RealSync kind of connects all of these things for you as an agent. So as you get comfortable with the CRM and you start to move towards, hey, I want to start automating a little bit more, what are you seeing agents do at that point in time? Kind of post CRM, they have that dialed in, but now they need more automation.
Yeah. So usually it's like I go get the tool, that I start using it, and I realize it doesn't connect to my CRM, which is really not the way you want to go about it. So, you know, with some of the CRMs I recommend, I mean, look, you can slice it a bunch of different ways, but, you know, Follow Up Boss, I think, is really good because they've always been just a CRM. They haven't been a CRM and a website, right? So their unique selling proposition's always been just a CRM, so they've always had to be open for integration. So they integrate to a lot, whether it's through Zapier or just direct integrations or through a company like us, RealSync. There's a lot of different options, right? So that's where I would start. I would start with like whatever CRM you're using, go and see what some of the other tools are that it connects and see if it makes sense, right? So like some of the tools I see are voice, phone call solutions like Ring Central, Dialpad, they're all getting more and more AI driven. These types of solutions, Call Rails, another one, where you can not only like make calls out, but like receive calls in through different marketing channels and different phone numbers that can funnel in through that calling system. So I see people wanting to integrate those, right? So you can do some of those on our platform. You can do some of them through Zapier, which is really great, right? So Zapier is one of those solutions that as you start to grow and add some people as a team, you're going to want to get familiar with. Zapier connects to over like 6,000 apps, right? Now, they're not very deep integrations a lot of times. This is why we exist. We're a little bit more of a specific real estate because they're across all industries, but they do enough a lot of times with their Zaps, which is fantastic. So that's something you're going to want to get familiar with. And then the other side of it, it's like obviously getting the leads in that you would use either the CRM is going to allow you to do a parse, which basically is like scraping the email for the data to get a new lead created in your CRM, right? So either the CRM will do it for you, and sometimes they don't do a very good job. You need to use Zapier or mailparser.io, okay? Mailparser.io. A lot of times we're helping our clients set up, we have a master account with mailparser.io, and then we'll connect it to a Zap, and then we'll connect it to your CRM. So it can start to get a little complicated, but so it starts with getting the lead in, maybe a phone solution. You're going to have a transaction management solution, open to close, dot loop, sky slope, maybe, some of these zip forms, DocuSign. If there's a way to automate your CRM with that data, that's ideal. There's not a lot of solutions out there. It's one of the things we're trying to solve down the road. But that'd be another system that you're going to bring into your tech stack, right? And then there's like a lot of random ancillary systems that you could start incorporating, whether it's a texting solution or an AI voice calling solution. But you're going to want to see, like, does it integrate with my CRM? Because you don't want to add a system that ends up holding data on an island.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point. And then you get this, and this is what frustrates me to no end, is when I do duplicate entry on things. I have to put the person in here, and then I have to put the person in here, which maybe makes me sound very lazy, but ultimately, that's where my mind goes.
Yeah, it's that little inefficiency, though, because what ends up happening is something you don't want to be doing. We know how that works, right? And at the end of the day, you forget sometimes. And then now you're maybe missing an opportunity, and that's the last thing in the world you want to do. You shouldn't be having to think about that, right? It should just be automatic.
Yeah.
Where you know that, like, your source of truth is your CRM because all these other things that you're adding is feeding the CRM. So you can go in the CRM and know that everything's there, right?
And everything,
you just got to use that, right?
Then you got to use that. Exactly. So
especially if you're trying to scale, Michael, because if you're adding team members and you're asking them now to log into multiple systems and do that, oh man, that becomes very stress inducing because you feel like you don't know what's happening in your business now. Yeah. Because you don't know if your agents are doing it, right? So it's a slippery slope.
I think you bring up a good point because like teams that I've ran, like the agents are only going to fill out the CRM to the extent that I will fill out the CRM. So if you can't really as a team leader be like, use the CRM, use the CRM, use the CRM, but then you don't really use the CRM. Like agents are going to kind of follow in our footsteps in many ways. So there's a relationship there. When you're thinking through Zapier and when you're thinking through Zaps, I'm curious to know, just because you have so much experience with these, are there any Zaps that you've seen work really well, or some innovative Zaps that you've heard about that agents are currently running to automate more of their business?
Yeah, well, I think, finding a texting solution's key, right? And like an automated one, right? And what I mean by that is like, I come to your website, I submit my info because I'm looking at homes or something, and then another pop-up pops like, some offer to get their cell phone. I mean, that's what should be happening. You get, like, if you've been to any sort of retail, I would model that, right? And every time you go to a new retail online store, they're like, get 30% off your first order if you put in your phone number. You're like, well, I'm only going to order one thing anyway. I'm putting in my phone number. You have to have like an offer like that to get the phone number, right? And then start sending automated texts, right? And it's just, there's a lot of solutions. So like when I look for that, we use HubSpot. So we go into HubSpot's marketplace and then we'd like test out, do free trials on a bunch of different stuff and see which one we like the best based on the experience of me and my team while we're in there, right? And like how you set up a campaign, how easy it is to navigate and use. But you want to have some sort of text because it's so much more immediate and it can be automated, and then you can get the message that you want to someone, right? And it's not as invasive as a phone call. Because a lot of times these people that are searching on your site, you know, they don't want a phone call. They just want to look at home, right? And so obviously like you need to be calling, of course, too. But like that's a first step. Is getting that in. So Zapier has a lot of different texting solutions. When I go into Zapier and I want to see, you can go in, you can search like text, and it'll bring up all the ones that are top rated. And then you can kind of review based on like how they're rated if you want. But then more importantly, you have to see like, does this connect to my CRM? Am I going to be able to implement this, right? Before you add it. So that's one of the big pieces that you have to be using if you're not. Is like some sort of automated texting solution, right? And then a lot of these CRMs have built in like so that's two different things. There's like the campaign texting that you can do within the CRM, and then there's the new lead texting for like the cold leads, which is different, which sometimes the CRMs don't allow you to do. So you may have to have both these solutions, right? The other one I would take a look at, and I don't know if it's on Zapier now, but I just was playing with it yesterday. If you want to see the future of technology, go to vapi.ai. Okay, I think Structurally just added it to their platform, and just have a conversation with this AI person. It's unbelievable.
Is it an AI bot that you're interacting with?
Yeah, and like you're just talking to her, and she's just answering questions and giving you feedback, and you can take this solution and integrate it into other applications. I'm sure it's built off of ChatGPT. Like most of the AI that you see now is just connected to ChatGPT. You just don't know how, right? So it's just built in the background, right? And so they're using that technology with their AI solution, right? And so you're getting the value of ChatGPT through custom development.
And I have heard of these companies that are starting to do this, and I mean it's going to have an impact, I'm sure, on like customer success folks and potentially some introductory kind of salespeople too, because there is like I've had conversations, and I did not know that the conversation I was having was with an AI bot, and especially when it comes to voice. And they are like they can honestly they'll listen to me forever. They'll listen to my complaints if I have them. It's an interesting direction that we're going. So what is your take on this with integrating AI into automations? Do you see this happening in the near term in real estate?
Yeah, within the next like year to year and a half. So 2 years, I think it'll be readily available and much easier to use. So here's my take on it. And this is stepping back and kind of putting my sales hat on. Mm-hmm. The reality is salespeople want to be on sales calls. They don't want to be making sales calls. So I think they don't want to make phone calls, like outbound cold calls, or even calling like the warm leads. Like how many times does that fall through the cracks, right? Because they're busy or they feel like there's something else that's a priority, right? So I think that's the first thing that you're going to see this start to get implemented on is, the bot, if it's that good, it's going to do a better job than your buyer agent and your listing agent on making phone calls and making them timely, right? They're not distracted. They don't have something else going on. It's just automatic.
Do you see the bot making the call and then a handoff to the salesperson?
Yeah. Or scheduling an appointment and it all being automated.
That's really interesting.
So I don't have specifics. This is a generality, but I know with Ylopo, with their new AI voice, I'm sure some people have heard about it, where it takes phone calls and makes phone calls. They tested it like internally for their own sales team, and it had it did a better job basically than their salespeople. Better
conversion rates?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
like
so
attempts, contacts, everything.
And part of me is also thinking like this is pretty exciting, I think, for those folks that have a number of people in their list of people that they need to follow up with, and they're just maybe never going to do it. They can just look themselves in the mirror and say, like, I'm never going to make these calls.
Yeah, totally.
Might as well let an AI bot kind of go through these leads versus me.
And like, I think you have to think about it optimistically, half glass full, not like, oh my God, my job's going to get taken as a sales agent, because it's not. what it's going to do is allow you, it's going to allow the people that are willing to innovate to take more market share.
Yeah.
And so your buyer's agent that normally was doing like 3 deals a month and is very skilled, but just couldn't keep up with the leads and everything else, is now doing 15. And their calendar's just getting pounded with appointments because you have someone doing it at the highest possible level, which is the AI, that no human could, right? Mm-hmm. So now you've leveraged your sales team in a much, much better way. I can't wait to use it in our own business, right? We're going to, we have some things down the road where we're going to build it in, right? And so it's going to be, very exciting as well, where I can it's almost like you're having this person do all the calls that you would never want to do. Like all the cold calls, all the ones where you got to call 20 to get one answer. Like who wants to do that, right? And then over time, you can have them do the more warmer leads, and eventually your agents aren't calling anyone to set appointments. They're just showing up on appointment.
Yeah, it's the leverage piece, really, right? And
yeah, it's huge.
It even kind of makes me think of going back to the days before DocuSign, right? Where we'd have to run around at 11 p.m. at night and get an amendment signed, and then a magical tool called DocuSign came in, and now we can't imagine living without it. But it's freed a lot of agents up to do a lot more business. Even the concept of a lockbox. Before lockboxes, you drive around to a listing broker, just pick up the keys, and then you would go and open the door. And this is just another, I guess, iteration of where technology is taking this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think about there's so many agents out there that don't want to scale up, meaning they don't want to build a whole team. They don't want to have a ton of employees. That's not their life. That's not what makes them happy, right? These types of tools will allow them to still be really successful and focus on working with their clients and keep up because they have an AI automated solution making the phone calls for them, right? And so, it really allows, it can work for so many different types of businesses to where, it just allows you to choose the type of business you want to run, as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good way of putting it. Now, another question that oftentimes comes up when agents are starting to think through automations is trying to understand what should be automated and maybe what shouldn't be automated. And I know that there's a lot of debate around this, around drip campaigns, automated emails, automated text, things like that. Do you have any sort of suggestions on where you draw the line between automation and no automation? Or is it not so black and white?
No, I mean, there's ways that you can control it a little bit more. And what I mean by that is you can customize some of the messaging, right? Some of the campaigns, you can get in there and adjust the language a little bit, make it feel like you a little bit more so you're comfortable with that, right? It takes a little time to do it, but it's worth it because, again, it's a scalability thing, right? And then I think, when they start engaging, I want to talk to someone, or they're sending a bunch of messages back, that's a great place to take over and really put your personality and imprint into the messaging and into the content as far as what you're saying, and start to build that relationship. Because, the automation of the AI is going to say pretty standard things, right? If you really want to differentiate yourself and your personality, I think that's going to be that's hard to replicate, right? So I think there's a certain point you want to have the automation bring all that into the CRM where you can see the communication that's happening, and then you can decide to take over, or they're deciding they want to talk to someone, and then you get them, right? So I think that's a great place on the front end. I think when you're nurturing your database long term, there's a lot of automation and video you should be doing, but the place where you can thrive is whether it's events or workshops, where you're still doing things like that, where you're face to face with one to many. It's going to be really hard for you to especially if you're running a small business, to sit with so many people at once, right? I think one to many is really where you can provide more value, whether it's through video or doing face to face, like I just said, with different social events or workshops, things like that, where you can get in front of your sphere and your clients and still have that personal touch. But everything else around that should be automated, sending out invites and stuff, things like that, sending out closing gifts and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's
it
actually a
should
good
be
point.
automated to an extent, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of different, like a lot of times we think of automation as lead comes in through like Zillow or comes in through some portal and it lands in your CRM. And what I'm hearing is that there's so much more to automation than just that simple little segment.
Yeah.
As people are starting to think through this whole world of automation, what to automate and what not to automate, you brought up the concept of video. Now, when you're thinking through nurturing using automation and then integrating video into that nurturing, is this using a tool such as like a BombBomb or Loom or something in order to send video emails? Is it something more extensive than that?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways you can do it. The company I used to work for, Viral, does a good job. If you're small and you need someone to like get it everywhere and do all the editing, and it's kind of more of a service, you still have to be on the camera, right? You can do a BombBomb, you can do a Loom, you can do a video on your phone. There's solutions to automate the texting of the video. You could probably embed the video. I know you could embed the video in some of these CRM campaigns, right? So there's a lot of different ways to do it. It can be overwhelming. You do want to be the one on the video because that's how you connect to many, as I mentioned, one to many. That's what video does for you, right? And there's still this, so there's like levels of relationships, right? And there's like texting, not so personal, right? Phone call, a little bit more personal. You're having a conversation, obviously. Video, they see you and they feel like they're having a conversation with you. You're branding yourself, top of mind awareness. You're staying in front of them. They see you. I can't tell you how many agents I used to work with when they would do consistent video and they'd just be out, that people would come up to them and be like, hey, like they'd act like they know them when they don't know them.
Yeah.
Right? And it's because you've been adding value and producing the video, right? So I think there's certain ways to do it. You just have to make sure that you can automate the process other than being on the video. You want the content to be, timely and relevant, right? So it's not something you can fully automate. You still have to be on it, just like we're doing this podcast, right? Like, can't really automate this. We have to talk, right? So there's still that aspect of it. When we do outreach to real estate teams that we want to work with, right? There's certain, what Salesforce did, okay, when they were really building up their business, and like they would basically take a screenshot and like a GIF almost of your website, right? And then like there'd be like a talking head over it, but he would never say the name of your business. So it was reusable, and then it'd be one-to-one, right? They would reach out and say, hey, like we have a way, whatever your USP is, we have a way of, fixing your website to generate more leads or convert more or whatever the thing that they are calling out, So that's also a really good way to do a one-to-one type video is, just make sure you're not saying the person's name in it, right? So you have to redo the video 100 times. You're trying to send out 100 emails, okay? The other tool I really like that we use a lot is called Woodpecker. I don't know if anyone's heard of Woodpecker, but it's, uses your Gmail. So you can only send so many a day, but it's one-to-one. And you can really craft your message. You can decide, this list, they kind of know I'm going to mass email them. I can make it more general. This list, and you can embed GIFs. You can't embed video, but you can embed GIFs or images that push to a video if you want. But also it's a one-to-one message. So you can go like, hey, John, are you, you can name merge. Hey, John, you still looking to buy a home this month or in the next 30 days? Where it's like, oh, this person just sent me a one-off email like from their phone. That's what it feels like when you just sent it to 400 people in your database that were, in a certain bucket of buyer timeline, right?
Yeah.
Really good tool to use.
Yeah, so that for everybody's knowledge, that was called Woodpecker. I've used Woodpecker. It's actually a very, very powerful tool. The one I use right now is called Instantly.ai, which is a similar tool when it comes to doing cold outreach, but also making it a little bit more customized. Are there any other tools that are on your list that you're either using right now, excited about, or that you use on a regular basis?
So in our business, we use Simple Text. Okay, so that'd be one to check out. They integrate with a lot of stuff. They integrate through Zapier. That was one of those texting solutions. We use that. I really love the immediate text process when you opt in on any new web page. I think it's just, for me, it's very intriguing and also engaging. You have to engage it because you're looking to get a discount or whatever. Wherever that is, right?
That's what it is. Like the text goes out in order to get the discount. You click the link, which then opts you in.
Yeah. Yeah. And then now you're like getting texts and you can like send updates, so you'd want to do it in a way from a real estate perspective. It would be like, you'd want to have some sort of offer. Maybe it's an event that you're doing, a workshop, something of like real value that you can get them to opt in and then send them an invite, or, send them, if you're doing a social thing, or, it could be as simple as like, learn why it's a good time to list your home and you've done a video about it. Right.
Yeah.
Things like that. So I love the texting solution. This thing that I mentioned, vappyai.ai. I would go check that out. It's super cool. You can just play with it without even signing up. Yeah. And it depends on your business and where you're at. Right. But like, I also like, there's a solution for everything, so I can like name a few, but like the thing that's most important is you step back and go, all right, what's my tech stack? What am I using? Where is my data on an island? And what I mean by that is, where is my data not connected to my CRM? Or is there no workflow to get data into that system or out of that system? How do I fix it, right? Or you think about like, where is a process from the time I generate a lead to the time I put this person that closes on a nurture campaign for the next decade? Where in that process is it not automated that I probably could use some automation? Like, that's where I would start, right? There's all these chat bots and AI bots. There's texting, the phone call solution, the email parsing, lead gen. There's so many lead generation systems out there where, depending on whether you want to pay for the leads or you want to just pay referral fees, are available to generate more leads, right? Making sure your phone's connected to your CRM, making sure your transaction management process is dialed in, whether you're doing it, you're paying someone to do it, what's that process like, and then making sure that person's not getting bogged down when they have to work with title and mortgage, right? And so there's just like a lot of different things. How do you handle closing gifts? How do you handle staying in touch with your clients? Like, man, there's a tech solution for all of it. It's kind of deciding for you personally, like, what do you want to do? What does it look like? I would figure out, like, forget adding the system until you understand what you want to do. Like, this is how I want to approach my closing gift or staying in touch in the first month, right? This is what I want to do. Think through that process, then go find the tech solution to automate, because there is one.
That's actually a really good solution. Instead of like, because where my mind's going as we're discussing this is, this could get wildly expensive if I start to try and automate with all these different tools. Like my SaaS budget is going to get blown through the roof.
Yeah.
Ultimately. So what I'm hearing here, which is I think is a really good suggestion, is instead of like going out there and just searching for cool tools, think about where maybe the blockers are, where the opportunities are, I should say, within your workflow. And then try to find a tool that could potentially save you that amount of time where it's worth it for you, versus, oh, here's a cool shiny object, which I know is challenging in the real estate industry when we're being sold things 24/7.
Yeah, it's tough, man. And that's why I recommend doing this process instead of just, there's obviously you can go and like do free trials and then cancel certain tools, but like, I feel like you're not going to get a ton of value doing that type of thing, right? At the end of the day, sometimes less is more. Keep it simple. Add one thing at a time. Don't add more than one. Get that dialed in. Make sure it's automated. Make sure it's integrated, right? And then think about like, all right, I have this way of generating leads. How do I go and generate leads now on social media? Let's get that part automated, right? How do I maybe join a referral network from different states where people can send me referrals and like have that process automated? Right? How do I get my content automated? Like you have to do it in steps and pieces and just keep building,
Yeah,
and then,
keep building.
Yeah, because otherwise, if you go and just add a bunch of stuff, you're not going to use it at its max capacity. It's going to cost a lot, like you said. And then, if it's not effective, then you're not generating more revenue, and it's just a burden more than anything. So that's why it's important to, pick one piece at a time, get it dialed in, maximize it as best you can, see the results of it, and then go move on to another piece until you built this ultimate tech stack, right? And like, just pay attention to new things coming out, that can help
and I
you.
think it's also okay to start with a tool, realize that tool's not working for you, and then transition to another tool. I feel like sometimes when it comes to automations and tech stacks, agents are like, I need to have the perfect CRM, the perfect texting tool, everything needs to be perfect before I start anything. but it's going to change. It's going to morph over time, and that's perfectly fine. My one rule is I try to avoid annual agreements for that reason, is because things can change. And being in a monthly agreement, even if that costs more, is almost always, I will say, worth it to me until I've been using the tool for over a year and can then justify that I'm going to continue to use this tool for the next year.
Yeah. And some like Simple Text, not to plug them, but there's other texting solutions, but they gave it where it was like you're just buying a year's worth of texts at one time, right? And then you can just buy more. So it wasn't really a yearly plan, but they gave you a discount to buy a certain package, basically, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different ways they slice the cat. I think one of the other tools that I was going to think about earlier that I was going to mention that I'm sure a lot of people have heard about is Fellow. They're one of our partners. Just to disclose, we run a few integrations for them, but they've done an amazing job over the last, they went to market like 15 months ago. And what's unique is they're aggregating like all the core fact data, like all the data about homes and properties and MLS and, people's wealth and all the different things that can trigger like a home sale or purchase. They're aggregating that data and then taking that data and figuring out how to send the right message at the right time to your database to revive your old leads that you've generated. So depending on the size you are, I think it's a really good solution to help you generate more listings. I'll take a look at that. That's one of the solutions I feel like continues to innovate. Even though they've only been around for a year, they've done a really good job continuing to innovate to continue to help people generate more listing business, which I think is obviously going to be the driver in our industry about everything that just happened recently, Yeah,
that's top of everybody's mind mind for sure. One kind of specific question here. And it's something that comes up sometimes when we're coaching and we're talking about texting tools. And it's that what are the risks rewards for using a texting tool versus using your own phone number? And the reason I say that is oftentimes these texting tools, you're getting a new phone number. Yes, it can be a local phone number, but it's a new number. And then so if you churn or leave that provider, you then lose that phone number. What if a client reaches out to you on that like previous phone number? Is this all just distraction for agents and just use the technology, or do you think of it differently?
I think it's a distraction. Yeah. So like when we set it up, like we were able to connect, I don't know what number it is, I don't care, but I connected it to my phone number on my website, right? So you should be able to do that with these solutions to where you can use the phone number you have to where like when you're sending out or when it comes back, it comes through that phone number to your cell phone, let's say, right? Yeah. And it's not leading with that number, but it comes back to your cell phone. Right?
So if they call that number, it's ringing on your phone, right?
Yeah. So like mine's dial pad, right? So we have dial pad internally for making outbound phone calls and just sending, VoIP texts, right? Like manual texts. And then the simple text would then pipe into that. So like if someone texted simple text back from like whatever number that comes from, it would come in to my screen, my software, my screen as a number, someone texts me back, right? And then I can just do the manual text from there. And then it's all going into my HubSpot automatically and creating new leads and all that stuff, right? So yeah, I think don't think through it too much. The reality is if you're scared about that, it's because you're sending someone a text that doesn't want the text.
Yeah.
Message to market. You need to be sending them a text at the right time when they're expecting it because they've asked. If you're cold texting them and they're not expecting it, that's why you're scared they're going to opt out, and then you're going to not be able to text them anymore.
That's a good point. Right? Yeah. And actually, how do you think through compliance when it comes to automation, connecting tools, and then say cold texting, cold calling, things like that? I know that there's a lot more rules in place, different states, different areas around compliance with that. Does that ever concern you, or are most of the tools pretty well set up for compliance nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, if you're using Mojo and the triple dialer, like it's illegal. Don't do it.
Is it actually illegal?
Yeah, it's illegal. It's like federally illegal to be dialing multiple numbers at the same time. So if you're triple dialing 3 numbers at the same time, hoping one picks up and the other 2 disconnect, that's illegal. And you can get sued. And I know a lot of huge teams that have been sued and lost a lot of money. So
interesting. I didn't know it was illegal.
It needs to be one dial at a time. You can automate it to where like once you disconnect from that call, it goes to the next one. That's fine. Yeah. The triple is not. It's illegal. So, yeah, I mean, for me, like, that's why these AI solutions that are going to start making these calls is really good, because they have to be compliant.
Yeah.
Right? They
They're not
can't
gonna
do
argue.
it. No, they can't do that. They can't manipulate the system, right? So yeah, I think I don't know. I kind of got off on a tangent with Mojo there. But yeah, like, I think the whole compliance thing with phone calls is, like, when we use Dialpad, I don't allow my SDRs, my sales development reps, to do anything non-compliant. What I mean by that is it's always a one-to-one phone call. At some point, we got you opted into something on our website or our app. You looked to sign up. You've given us permission by signing up to follow up with you and call you and text you. But it's always one-to-one through our Dialpad system, right? Unless it's like on the website where it specifically says, like, by putting in your phone number, you're giving us compliance to send you a text. Like, that's what needs to be on the opt-in. And I know, like, the opt-ins that you have on the IDX websites, or they say the same thing, right? For the email, right? But a lot of times you have to make sure it's saying that for the phone number and the text too. If they're putting in the phone number, that you're giving us permission to reach out to you, which is what it should say. And all these solutions have that compliance language. So even though you can put a custom message in, like, the language beneath it, when they, like, submit their phone number, like, it has the compliant messaging. So you're good there. I think 5 years ago, I would be hesitant with some of the things, but now it's like all these tools that are, because it's so automated and you're not doing anything, and it's like, it's almost AI driven, that they have to be doing things compliant. Otherwise they wouldn't have a business.
Well, yeah, that's where my mind's going. Is like the risk to the actual tool provider by not being compliant is definitely not worth it, right? So the tool provider is very, like, I mean, we shouldn't fully rely on it, I guess. We should also have an understanding of what compliance, what we need to be aware of in our area or our state. But that being said, the tool is usually quite compliant as well. And one thing on Mojo, I will say this: whenever I get a call from a triple dialer, you know how there's like that delay? You pick up the phone and there's like that 2 second delay.
Yeah.
And then it clicks and then it kicks in. Yeah. I am off the phone in that 2 seconds like you would not believe. As soon as I know it's a triple dialer, and maybe this is just me and a limitation that I have, but as soon as it's a triple dialer, I'm like, there's not somebody who's like actually phoned my phone number, it feels like, and then I'm gone as soon as I realize it's a triple dialer. So it's good to know that it's not even legal, because that solution definitely doesn't work.
I don't know how they get away with even offering it. I mean, I guess they're it must be something where the liability ends up on the user, not on Mojo. But yeah, it's interesting. But I feel like most of the solutions out there now don't even allow you to do it. It's just, you can set it up to where it goes from one to the next once that call's complete, Yeah, that makes sense. So that's what I would recommend. If you're going to do the automation, do that. At the end of the day, start looking at some of these tools like Ylopo and the different, structurally, and like these phone call solutions that can do it for you, honestly, because at the end of it's just a better use of your time. Like, your conversations need to be quality over quantity. If you can outsource the quantity part of it to get you to the quality conversations, man, that's huge leverage.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Scott, this has been extremely valuable. Thank you very, very much.
No problem.
If agents are interested in learning more about automation and connecting their CRM with a number of different real estate tools, how can they reach out and how can they learn more about RealSync?
Yeah, so Scott@realsync.com is my email. Email me directly. We take so much pride in our services and support, meaning like the personal connection. I'll get on a call with you, demo, whatever it takes, right? To have a conversation, to see how we can help. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're in the business of doing, is helping you and your business thrive so that you can live the life that's worth living, right? That you want to live, and make sure that everything else is taken care of for you. So Scott@realsync.com, realsync.com is our website. Go check it out. Now, this podcast, Michael, when you're releasing it, our product is probably going live, our new app. So we've been building a new app. Yeah.
This is the business intelligence side?
Yeah. So, if it's not live yet, depending on when it is, there'll be a waiting list you can sign up for and get a discount. I think it's 20% off. If it is live, go check it out. It's going to be amazing. Our roadmap with this solution in our new app is to where we can connect more and more applications, Michael, quickly, so that all your tech stack that you're using in real estate, you can use through RealSync. So that's why we rebuilt the application. We can add apps within days now instead of months.
So
huge,
cool.
Huge scalability advantage. However, the business intelligence we built on top of it. And what that is going to do is it's going to give you insight to what your agents and team is doing, from transactions to agent accountability to lead source ROI. We've spent tons of time interviewing and working with agents to really figure out what do they want to see, what numbers they want to see. And then the business intelligence layer, Michael, is going to basically give the team owner or the agent, the lead, insight to what's happening in their business with these other systems that you've connected into RealSync, to where, you would be connecting every app you're using. We're aggregating all the data visually to show you what's happening in your business, where the holes are, where the opportunities are being missed, and what you need to do about it. And then eventually we're going to have some really cool automation on ways you can say, you know what, I don't want to deal with it. Let's let the robot deal with it.
Let the robot deal with it.
Yeah, will be some cool things we're going to be adding over time.
I'm excited because right now it's like 6 dashboards that you have to look through, right? You go to this dashboard, it doesn't have this data. You go to this dashboard, it doesn't have this data. So this concept of having everything under one roof makes a lot of sense.
And we made it affordable to where like a small single agent can pay for it if they want, right? It's going to be $150 for 3 users a month. So it's not super expensive, and then it can, it scale up per user for teams, but you can afford it, and there's discounts as we release the product, but you can afford it as a single agent if you just want to have your stuff connected. And it includes all of our integrations too. So any app is unlimited integration on our platform, as well as the BI tool for that price. It's awesome. I'm so excited about it, man. It's
very cool.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to really, what we're doing, I feel like it's going to change the way business intelligence looked at in real estate.
Yeah. Yeah, what a great update to the software that you're already providing, and the connection aspect is very, very powerful. Scott, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate all the insights, and I definitely urge everybody to go check out RealSync. I've actually been using RealSync before I even met Scott through Follow Up Boss, just to have that ability to sync my emails because I'm so used to using Gmail. But then I also want to have that in Follow Up Boss. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'll say that. So thanks so much, Scott.
Thank you for having me, Michael. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet.